Back in September 2017, I joined PwC as a fresh-faced graduate with bold ambitions to make it all the way to the top as a partner. However, just under 4 years later, I said goodbye to my firm and pursued an external consulting opportunity. And I wasn't alone in doing this, because around 70% of my intake also left the firm at a similar time for a variety of external roles. So in this video, and I've been putting this one off for a while, I'm going to be taking you through the 3 main reasons why I decided to leave the Big Four, and be honest, why it's been one of the best decisions I've made for my career and personal life. However, before we do, a bit of a disclaimer. This is obviously just my personal experience, and I really don't want to put you off from joining the Big Four. Do I regret joining the Big Four? No, not at all. Would I have done anything differently? Maybe would have worked and cared a bit less, but overall, not really. Would I recommend you join the Big Four? Yeah, 100% absolutely. It's a great place to start your career. It gives you so many different opportunities that you can kind of jump into once you're qualified. That out of the way, let's dive in. Oh, actually, before I forget, if you're thinking about leaving the Big Four, check out my free Big Four Exit Opportunities Guide, which is the ultimate resource to maximize your exit opportunities and provides a really useful comparison of the roles and jobs available to you in terms of hours, salary, and application difficulty, along with loads of other useful content. So a link for that should be appearing somewhere up here, but if not, it'll definitely be down in the description below. So anyway, let's dive in. One of the biggest issues for me was the fact I felt underpaid for the work I was doing, and there were better kind of return on investment to be found elsewhere. As a qualified senior associate, I was earning in total around £50,000 per year, which included my base salary of about £45,000, plus other benefits and pension contributions and bonuses and stuff like that. When you compare this to the UK average salary of around £38,000, the remuneration can look pretty generous. But the problem here is you're only really considering one side of the equation, the return side of the equation, not the investment or inputs such as time and effort that you put in to earn that salary. If you were then to, contrast and compare the salaries of a Big Four senior associate compared to the national average, comparing the inputs, you see a bit of a different picture. So for example, take the average UK salary of around £38,600. Based on an average working week of 37.5 hours, this led to hourly pay of around £19.79. Take the £45,000 base salary I was paid at the Big Four and my average working week, which is around 47.5 hours, that actually led to an hourly pay of £18.22, which was around 8% lower than the national average, despite being in a really respected profession, spending years pursuing professional qualifications. There is a clear pay to effort disparity here. And when you consider that the going market rate for a qualified Big Four accountant is around £55,000 as a base salary with relatively normal working hours, which by the way would give you an hourly wage of about £28.21, or 55% higher than staying in the Big Four, you can see that you're not being valued for the time you put into your role. Alongside being underpaid for the work I was doing, I also noticed that I was only really doing things to help partners increase their net worth even further. I mean, at PwC, for example, the average profit per partner for the year to the end of June 2021 was £868,000, which, assuming they withdrew 100% of that, if they could withdraw 100% of that, this was 20 times my base salary. Now, I know this is obviously how the system works. I'm not a communist or a socialist or anything like that, and the partners, as being owners of the firm, have additional risk. But the feeling of being underpaid, the unequal distribution of rewards, and to be honest, better returns I could receive elsewhere in the market was a key reason for me deciding to leave the Big Four. I'm going to be honest, as an auditor, you're working as a glorified fact checker, and it can be hard to see the value in your work and the bigger picture in your day-to-day role. Personally, I often found little purpose or fulfillment in my role. I remember one particular year-end working or auditing revenue at a multi-billion-dollar software company. I had this stack of about 100 contracts I was reading through, and these contracts, were really large software contracts ranging anywhere from $1 million up to maybe $50 million that had been signed with leading financial institutions. And I remember looking at the commissions the sales team were earning on these contracts, and it was up to 10% of the value, which for me was absolutely insane. I remember being sat in this room at 11 o'clock at night reading these 50-page contracts to ensure they'd been accounted for correctly, and feeling, that I was adding little value in the grand scheme of things. What really made this worse was the realization of how replaceable I felt, or how replaceable I was. Because you could argue that a sales team that assigned this contract in front of me did so because of their skills in presenting, negotiating, lead generation, and fostering a relationship with the potential client. If the sales team had been different, the client may have actually lost that contract. Whereas in my work, I was simply reading these contracts and checking that the accounting treatment that had been applied was correct. Realistically, it could have been done by anyone. I was simply following a rule book in terms of accounting qualifications and making sure it had been accounted for correctly. I also enjoy being challenged, and personally I didn't find audit to be that challenging. There was some work that required judgments and estimates, but fundamentally it wasn't that hard. You were mainly just performing endless documentation that added little to no value to satisfy auditing standards and regulations. The only element that made the work really challenging was the insane time pressure that you were under. The combination of these factors, I was really itching to get more control and fulfillment back in my life rather than just sacrificing my time for money and things I actually didn't really care about. And to be honest, I don't think the market or client did either. Given the long hours, not only in busy season, but throughout the year, you really have to put your life on hold. Your work regularly extends into and consumes your evenings and weekends, leaving you far too exhausted to do anything else. I had other passions and interests I wanted to pursue, like, becoming more creative. For example, starting this YouTube channel with all the scripting, recording, editing videos, writing content that goes with it. I wanted to continue playing tennis and other bits like that, but work essentially became my life and everything else was on hold. And this was to the detriment of my own well-being and personal relationship. I also felt the issue wasn't really taken too seriously by some of the partners and senior leaders in the firm. Recently, in a Financial Times article, the UK PwC chairman Kevin Ellis said criticism of the audit industry from politicians and regulators was harming the profession and making audit less attractive to graduates and junior staff. Kev, what are you on about? Not once has someone said to me they don't enjoy audit or wanted to leave the Big Four due to criticism from some regulator or career politician. It has always come down to three key factors: poor work-life balance, unfulfilling work, and low salary. Given this perception from some of the senior leadership, I didn't really see the culture improving in the short or medium term, and when I looked at the career path ahead of me, I didn't want to continue managing or leading teams in this kind of environment or culture, which I felt at times was at the detriment to myself and my colleagues. Well, that felt like I was almost getting a weight off my shoulders. This is obviously my personal experience, and I really don't want to put you off from joining the Big Four, as it's a fantastic place to start your career, build your CV, gain some experience, and then leverage that for even more interesting opportunities. If you're thinking of leaving the Big Four, don't forget to check out my free Big Four Exit Opportunities Guide, which is the ultimate resource to maximize your exit opportunities and provide you a really useful comparison of the roles and jobs available to you in terms of salary, hours, application difficulty, along with loads of other great content. So a link should be appearing somewhere up here, hopefully, if I've managed to do it correctly, but if not, down in the description below. If you found the video valuable, remember to hit like and subscribe to my channel for even more content. I do respond to all comments. It might take me a couple of days or so, but if you have any questions, whack them down below and I look forward to answering them. Anyway, until next time.